Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in the today's session, basically DevOps project 2. Okay, so DevOps project 1, we had seen about the host a simple website using S3 bucket and the CloudFront basically. Okay, so in the today's session, DevOps project 2, basically we will see how to host a simple website using EC2 instance and with the load balancer and CloudFront basically. Okay, so I have just tried to add some bullet points requirement basically in the bullet points. So you can see here. So don't worry about this Git repo. As I said, I will add in the description box with the CDK code project and the this information basically. Okay, URL. Okay, so you can just find in description box. Okay, so basically to host the requirement is host a simple website using EC2 instance. Okay, with the load balancer and CloudFront. So here we will create two EC2 instance basically in the different availability zone. Okay, to make a proper failure. Okay, create an application load balancer with the SSL certificate on the top of EC2 instance. Okay, then create a CloudFront for load balancer. Okay, why we use load balance CloudFront basically. uh, CloudFront is basically as simple as it's a content delivery network service basically. So we can use for our website basically to serve the data videos with the faster and low latency basically. Okay, to increase the speed basically of the website. Okay, across the global. Then make a DNS entry in the route 53 basically. So our end URL basically will be app.guruji.net. Okay, then also we can additionally configure the additional domain name with the SSL certificate for this CloudFront basically. Okay, then our application URL should be like with the secure URL https app.awsguruji.net. Okay, then how to achieve this simple website hosting on the EC2 instance with the load balancer and CloudFront basically. What things we required? Okay, so basically we required EC2 instance with the minimum default storage basically Linux OS, and with the Nginx web server we can install. Or if you want to install the Apache server HTTPD package, you can definitely go with that as well. Okay, then we can install this Nginx web server by using user data script basically. I hope you already aware about the user data script. If you're not aware, don't worry. So user data script is basically when we launch any EC2 instance. Okay, we will find that user data script in options in the advanced button basically. So from there write down the is we can write down the script basically when we launch the EC2 instance. So during that time, okay, the whatever the commands we can just mention there, it will be execute basically. Okay, during the launch of EC2 instance, this will be happen only or execute only once basically. Okay, when we launch EC2 instance, if you reboot start and stop later on, it will not execute basically. Okay, this will be execute by only once when at the launch the EC2 instance. Okay, just to make a note. Then we can create an application load balancer with additional security group. Okay, we we will not attach same security group which we create for the EC2 instance group. Okay, for the some security perspective basically. Okay, then open HTTPS port publicly for the application load balancer security group basically. Then we will create CloudFront with the load balancer as an origin basically here. Okay, then I will show you CDK code project basically, which is on the Node.js or TypeScript base. Then as a understand about the architecture diagram, you can see here. Okay, so we have this end URL basically app.awsguruji.net. When we hit this URL or visit this URL basically, so what will happen, this URL will check in the route 53 DNS entry basically. Okay, if we have mapped the CloudFront URL here in the DNS, route 53 service, then it will send request to CloudFront basically. Okay, in the CloudFront we have integrated the SSL certificate. Okay, just to make a note here basically, when we create a CloudFront basically, and if you want to attach any additional domain name, only in that case we require the certificate, and that SSL certificate should be request or create in the North Virginia region basically. Okay, it has to be in the North Virginia. Okay, not the other regions basically. Okay, otherwise it will not support. Okay, so we then it request goes to CloudFront. Okay, And in the CloudFront we added as a origin basically load balancer, obviously. Then request goes to load balancer. Okay, then in the loads behind the load balancer we have a two EC2 instance. Okay, which will be in availability zone A and availability zone B basically. Okay, we have a two different EC2 instance here with the install the Nginx web server and the sample website basically. Okay, so for now just showing the demo basically to make it clear, I have just given the name basically server 1 and server 2. Okay, so let's say if tomorrow is something goes wrong with this availability zone A, so at at the end of the day we will not, our application will not impact basically. It will work from the availability zone B basically server. Okay, so I hope it's clear till now. So to how to check the CDK code basically I have given this repo link here. Okay, you can definitely just refer that. And if you don't know about the how to create the project and how what is the CDK basically, I have given the playlist which has a 10 videos approx, where you can get the beginners, beginners guidance basically, and how to create the projects and how to write down the code basically, folder structure in the infrastructure as a code CDK basically, and how to execute the commands. Okay, so I have mentioned the each things details in this playlist basically. You can definitely go and just have a look. Okay, so now coming to the repo code basically, actual CDK code. Okay, if you are already aware about the Terraform code basically, definitely it will be very easy for you. Just code might be different, little bit. But if I just open this code basically, folder structure basically, we have this lib folder where we have mentioned the all the stack file basically, which resource created. Okay, will create. So here you can find out the import basically here. Okay, then class name you can just find out here. We will not create the new VPC here. We are just referring the existing VPC basically. Okay, here. So this way you can just fetch the existing VPC. Then I'm just here just creating the security group with the port basically. Okay, HTTP and other stuffs. Just don't worry about this port number. This is just for the RDP, which is just this is just a security group. You can just ignore this part basically. But main thing is HTTPS port. Okay, 443 and 80 port. Okay, so now you can see here the create EC2 instance with the different availability zones basically. You can see I have created the default 8 GB, sorry, 15 GB storage basically, disk space, EBS volume basically. And I have just attached that, pass that variable basically here. Okay, you can see the web server POC1 and web server POC2. Okay, I have attached the key pair name here. Then instance type image you can just find out here basically. Okay, then I have mentioned the availability zones 1A here. Okay, and for the second server, okay, second server, you can see here availability zone 1B. Okay, this will be different availability zones. Okay, and to configure the user data script you can just find out this code basically here. Okay, so I have given the each steps detail, also how to create the load balancers, target group. Okay, how to attach that instance to target group basically, you can find out this code here. Okay, how to create the load certificate or fetch the certificate. Okay, existing certificate basically to the that HTTPS listener basically for the target group. Okay, then for the route 53 DNS entry mapping basically I have write down the CDK code here. Okay, I'm just fetching the existing hosted zone ID here, domain name, and creating this subdomain basically. Just to correct here, I just use the web dot, but as I said earlier, we will map the domain app.awsguruji.net. So after this session I will just correct this name basically. It should be app basically. Okay, if you want to configure with a different name you can just obviously go and just replace this. Okay, like demo or something, whatever subdomain you want to give, you can just replace here. Okay, this is not a major blocker here. Okay, this is just a domain name basically, subdomain. Okay, and if you want to go back here, Let me correct it. Okay, if I want to show you the user data script, basically it's a simple website. Sorry, user data script. You can see in the user data script what I am doing is basically, after the immediately server launch, I am just doing the updates here, yum update. Okay, if you already aware about the Linux command, basically, and then I'm just installing the Nginx server. Okay, I'm just starting the Nginx servers and make it on boot, basically. Yes, then I'm just giving the permission for the Nginx folder, basically, and then I'm just giving the sample name, basically, in the index.html, just web server 1. Okay, this user data script is for user data 1, which will be used by server 1. Okay, if same thing, if you can go to this user data script 2. Okay, this is for the server 2, basically. The rest of the things are same. Okay, just I am just renaming the word here, web server 2, basically. Okay, just to make a identification. Okay, now how to deploy this code, basically. So I have already deployed this code, basically, just to save the time, because CloudFront takes some time, basically. Okay, so these are the code, basically. So for now I am in the folder, basically, on my root. Okay, if I want to deploy this, I can just simply run the command cdk deploy, basically. Okay, so it will check all the dependency on the stuffs, basically. Sorry, I need to go through that location, basically. Okay, otherwise it will not support cdk, like terraform cdk plan apply, you execute, right, for the terraform code. So same thing for the cdk, basically. We can just do this deployment by using cdk deploy, basically. Okay, so as of now it's already deployed the applications properly, so I'm just canceling this process, basically. Okay, and now if I want to show you from the AWS console, basically. Okay, so you can see I have two web servers which is created by the cdk code, basically, web server 1 and 2. Okay, and if I want to show you that user data script which I shown, so let me go to that. Okay, instance setting, where is that option, edit user data. Okay, you can see, so which we have given this user data script, basically, in the cdk code. You can just find out here, updating, installing the nginx server, then echo this, append this line, basically, with the web server 1. Okay, so this way we can just do the resource creation and the website package installation, basically, by using a cdk. Okay, so now just if I want to show you the CloudFront, basically, you can see here, this is the CloudFront ID, basically. And if you can just check the other details, you can just absolutely go app alternative domain name app.awsguruji.net. Okay, okay, and if you can just expand this option as well, so you can get this detail, basically, when this CloudFront created, you can see here. Okay, so you can also see the alternative domain name here, and this security, basically, ssl certificate. If I just click on this, okay, it will route me to through the north virginia region, basically. Okay, not the other region, because as I said, this has to be created in the north virginia region. Okay, when if you want to use for the CloudFront. Okay, if you want to use for the application load balancer or other load balancer, definitely we can create it into that particular region, basically. Okay, so you can see the other details, basically. Sorry, if I want to show you the origin, basically you can just see the load balancer name here. Okay, and the other settings, basically, ssl and the port number. Okay, for manually you don't need to do anything, basically. It will automatically manage through the cdk code. Okay, that is the power of infrastructure as a code. If you write down the code once, okay, you can use it number of times, basically, if you want to create or deploy with the multiple aws accounts or something. Okay, so you don't need to worry about the very hectic process manually and all the steps. Okay, so these are the some basic settings basically. Redirect HTTP request to HTTPS to serve always secure content basically, and the other caching is disabled. Okay, so this way we can just mention here in the CDK code. And sorry, if I want to show you that DNS entry basically, if I just search this app, you can see here. Okay, if I just click on that app.awsguruji.net, and this is mapped on CloudFront URL basically. Okay, if you can just look at this 40x. Okay, if I want to verify it, you can just go to general tab and you can just verify 40x. Okay, so now what will happen, I can just visit this URL basically just to show you basically after the deployment properly. Just make sure when you do practical basically, you can just check and make sure basically the status should be enabled and the last modified date should be whatever the current date basically. Okay, otherwise during the deployments you will not, your application will not work properly changes basically. So you can just wait for the creation properly basically deployed. Okay, then you can just try to hit the URL. Okay, so as you can see, as of now the traffic is routing through web server 2. Okay, just to show you basically, let's say our web server 2 got crash, or any network failure, or whatever the stuffs are there, right? Any underlying hardware failure or network device crash in the data center basically in the AWS or or any cloud basically. So let's say just for the showing purpose, I'm just manually shutting it down basically. Okay, that server has been stopped. So now if I want to again hit this URL, it should be route through the web server 2 basically. Okay, the page might be cached here. Okay, so just don't worry. If I open this URL, you can see the bad gateway. Okay, if I just make it refresh again, you can see, okay, web server 1. So this way our application will work properly basically without any major failure or downtime. Okay, and if I that is the reason when we design the architecture basically for the projects, for the complex or critical project basically, so we need to design like that for the failure purpose. Okay, you can create the servers in the different availability zones basically for the better availability. Okay, so just I want to show you one more thing in the last basically load balancer part. So this is my the load balancer web app. Okay, I have added the listener configuration. If I just open that target group basically, you can see the healthy, unhealthy one is unused because which we have just make it stop basically. Total target are two. Okay, one is healthy, and you can see, okay, the another one is in stop states, that's why it's called as unused basically. And always make sure the load balancer function is basically send the request always to healthy state EC2 instance basically. Okay, healthy states targets. Okay, not the unhealthy states basically. Okay, so this way we can just host our sample application basically. Okay, definitely you can just try this CDK code basically to create the all the stuffs basically. Okay, this CDK code basically it will help you to create the EC2 instance with the different subnet basically availability zones. Then you automatically you can manage the user data script through the here. Okay, you can whatever the commands you have, you can just modify it. Okay, I have given the all the exact code basically in the GitHub repo. I will add that link in the description box. Okay, and also it will, this CDK code will help you to create the CloudFront Route 53 DNS entry, SSL certificate, and other stuffs basically. Okay, this is very interesting project basically. You should definitely try. Okay, if you have any additional questions apart from these, you can definitely try to just comment me basically, so I will try to help you on that. Okay. And that's all for the today's session basically. So we will see in the next session with the new project basically, which might be how to deploy the web server basically sample website by using Jenkins pipelines. Okay. Or we can try with the GitHub actions basically. Okay. We'll announce you later basically which will work perfectly basically. Okay. Yeah, if you have a new user for this channel, so definitely try, just like, share, and subscribe basically, and also share with your friends or social platform, so definitely others can get help from this video basically. Okay. So yeah, that's all for the today's then. Thank you for this. Okay, we will see again with the new project basically.